Now on KGW News, how Salem is taking on an alarming rise in violent crime, with the suspects getting younger.
More and more juveniles are actually committing shootings now in Salem, and it's trending up.
Plus, the NTSB puts Boeing on blast.
It's absurd that 2 months later, we don't have that.
Why the agency says Boeing is not fully cooperating with the door plug blowout investigation. Plus, tired of hearing that sound? Portland leaders take a step toward banning gas-powered leaf blowers. And we begin tonight with a call for action in Salem as city leaders respond to an increase in gun violence. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Gordon. Tonight, community members gather to talk about what, if anything, they can do to help curb the violence. Catherine Cook has a story from Salem.
City leaders organized tonight's meeting, noting a few key statistics. The big one, a 42% rise in violent crime over the last 10 years. But for victims and their loved ones, it hurts more than any number could ever describe.
We're talking about shootings occurring in our city.
At the East Salem Community Center, a hard truth from law enforcement.
The rise in shootings and violent crime in Salem is affecting everybody.
Neighbors in the audience Wednesday night frustrated and worried about an increase in violent crime in Salem.
One of the things I see missing up there is accountability.
The communities can overcome their fear so that they can speak.
Among those here, Alma Luma Campos. She says her son was recently assaulted while out to lunch.
Then when he walked outside the restaurant, some kid hit him and they took him to the hospital.
The city of Salem commissioned a study to track violence in the city. It showed the number of shootings in Salem has doubled in the last 5 years, and violent crime is up 42% since 2014. Salem Police Chief Trevor Womack calls those numbers unacceptable and something they can't fix on their own.
We know just from evidence from what works in other cities that it takes really a whole of community approach. And so without the community's voice in this process, we can't be as effective as we possibly could.
Thank you for all of your work in the past and in the future.
Data show most of the city's shootings happen within a 5-square-mile area in northeast Salem. Most of the victims are young men between 18 and 34, and about half are Latino. Community outreach experts hope identifying potential victims will help protect them.
We got a chance to go have a conversation with people and say, you're at an incredibly high risk to be shot, and we want to figure out how to come up with a very custom strategy to make sure that we save your life, the lives of your children, and make sure that you live a wonderful and fruitful life.
This meeting is part of Salem's Community Violence Reduction Initiative. Mayor Chris Hoy says it's about taking a full community approach to decrease gun violence. That includes growing mentorship programs and other activities for those at high risk.
When we don't fill the void with something positive, then something negative can unfortunately take hold, and that's what we're seeing out there.
Besides the violence itself, many in Salem, like Alma Luma, say the fear of it will be just as hard to address.
We're afraid when we go outside because a lot of people, you never know who is who.
The city plans to hold several more of these community meetings to explore anti-violence strategies over the coming months. Their goal is to have a solid plan to implement by 2025. In Salem, Catherine Cook, KGW News.
And time to get you caught up on tonight's other headlines. Oregon legislators have passed a bill to criminalize drug use on public transportation. It makes drug use on transit a high-level misdemeanor crime. That's one step below a felony and carries a maximum sentence of up to 364 days in jail and $6,250 fine, or both. In a statement tonight, TriMet said the change will help make buses and MAX trains safer for operators and riders. The governor will still need to sign the bill. Portland police announced today they're bringing back the cold case unit. The unit originally started in 2004, but was disbanded in 2022 following challenges, including the pandemic, increased gun violence, and civil unrest. The Bureau said it needed to redistribute its resources. However, thanks to a federal grant, the unit is returning. The money will pay for advanced forensic testing, allowing detectives to look at unsolved homicides, missing persons cases, and other unsolved violent crimes. And this May, Gresham residents will be voting on a 5-year levy to boost police and fire protection. The City Council today unanimously voted to refer the issue to voters. According to the council, the levy would fund 13 new firefighter positions and 9 new police positions. That's on top of keeping 30 existing public safety jobs. The estimated cost, about $25 a month for the average homeowner. Well, today on Capitol Hill, the chair of the National Transportation Safety Board told a Senate committee that Boeing is not fully cooperating with its investigation into the 737 MAX 9 door plug blowout over Portland. Jennifer Homendy told senators that documents were requested 2 months ago, shortly after the incident, and Boeing still has not produced them.
Boeing has not provided us with the documents and information that we have requested numerous times over the past few months, specifically with respect to opening, closing, and removal of the door, and the team that does that work at the Renton facility.
Homendy said it's possible the documents they're asking for don't actually exist. If so, it would raise serious questions about Boeing's quality control and safety practices. And new tonight, passengers on another Alaska flight out of PDX got a scare when their plane made an emergency landing. Around 6:30 tonight, passengers reported smelling what they thought were fumes on a flight bound for Phoenix. The flight returned safely back to Portland with 7 people requesting medical evaluation. No one needed to be taken to the hospital. And firefighters could not figure out the cause of that smell, but Alaska Maintenance is now looking into that. Well, developing tonight, Portland's City Council took a step toward banning gas-powered leaf blowers. Electric blowers, though, well, they'll still be allowed. Alma McCarty joins us in studio. And Alma, the gas-powered blowers, they have some strikes against them, don't they?
Yeah, Tim, you could certainly say that. City leaders have been discussing this for a couple of years now, and many people are all for the change, citing health and climate concerns, plus air and noise pollution. Commissioner Carmen Rubio is leading this charge and says the eventual ban would lead to a cleaner and healthier Portland. Once fully passed, the gas-powered ban would go into effect in 2026 and would begin as a seasonal ban from January until September. Then through the rest of the year in the winter, you could use the gas blower, but that's because the group that developed this policy says the technology on electric blowers is still lagging behind. They can't yet handle clearing wet, heavy leaves. Once we get to 2028, the full ban will go into effect, minus exceptions for severe weather. The majority of people testifying at City Council today favor the ban, but a few called it expensive and impractical. Take a listen.
One thing I think we need to think about is that we have things like asbestos and lead paint. And when we made those changes, I'm sure the industry wasn't happy, but we did it for the health and safety of all of us.
Many times I've seen blowers used when a simple rake or broom would have done the job easily.
I am committed to the adoption and use of electrical equipment as technology improves, but I do not support this phase out, which will result in an outright ban of critically needed equipment by January 1st of 2028.
Now, I also spoke this evening with Malik Hopkins, who owns a local landscaping company, Hopkins PDX Services, to get his take on this proposal. Now, Hopkins says in the 4 years he's operated his business, he's adopted the use of some electric leaf blowers, but still relies on the gas-powered ones too. And he tells me he uses them for every single job to properly clean up the space. While he's generally for the change, he sees challenges ahead.
It's good for the environment. It's a lot better, but it's kind of a pro-con thing. It's going to affect a lot of people, especially people that can't afford it. Guys that are starting out, those batteries that go for about $200-300. That's per battery.
And to deal with the cost of switching to electric, eligible businesses could get a rebate through the county. The ordinance will be back for a second reading in a week. Tim?
All right, the pros and cons, as Malik said there. Thanks, Alma, very much. This is KGW News at 11, and still ahead, finding a place to help addicts. We break down the county's plan for a sobering center and why those on the streets say it is not enough. Plus, it's like March Madness for high school hoops. It's playoff time, and Orlando Sanchez has the highlights.
And I'm Matt Sapino. I think the sunshine today was a highlight for a lot of people. We're at 40 degrees in Portland right now, and we've got a mix of cloud and clear. That's keeping our temperatures up a little bit compared to last night, but it's still going to be a cold night as we go into the morning hours. We're looking at frost forming. We'll let you know when that rain and mountain snow will return.